Cancer 2020 horoscope. Welcome, dear friends. This is your astrology prediction for 2020 in case your sun or rising sign is in Cancer. 2020 looks like a very exciting, very intense year. We have so many aspects, transitions, Jupiter and Saturn changing signs and being together in conjunction, and on the other side also joining Pluto. The nodes are changing signs. We have 6 eclipses during the year, and Venus and Mars are both going retrograde, something which doesn't happen each year. So get ready for 2020 and learn how each of those events can affect your sign. Also, let me tell you that the 2020 astrology calendar is available now. If you want to have a daily insight for the visible, invisible planets, exact aspects, ingressions, new moons, full moons, and so much more, you can find the link below the video and get yourself a copy. Let's begin our journey with the good news. We are starting, of course, with Jupiter, the great benefactor, the most positive planet in astrology, the planet which can bring you growth and expansion. And for you guys, Jupiter in Capricorn will trigger 7th house. So we are going to talk a lot about your 7th house actually during 2020, because there are a couple of influences there which are combining. And Jupiter in your 7th house can really bring you success in the area of relationships. Of course, we talk about romantic relationships, but also business partnerships as well. In both of those areas, you can benefit, you can succeed, you can expand. New relationships might be started, new business partnerships, which potentially can bring you success, can also be started. Also, for some people, this could be a great time for marriage or something more serious in regards to your personal life. So the opportunities for you may come from other people or through cooperating with someone else. So don't be afraid to ask for help, to ask for advices, to do something with another person. Maybe he has more experience, or in another way he can support you in your mutual work. 7th house, by the way, is also related to clients. So if you are working with clients, if you're a consultant or you have your own business, this aspect, this position can also help you improve this area. More clients, communicating, connecting with more people overall. So that's generally a very strong position. And keep in mind that 7th house is one of the cardinal houses in the chart, and those houses are more important than the others. So this accentuated 7th house basically suggests that the year can really be significant for you guys. But except for Jupiter, there are also other planets in Capricorn in your 7th house. And the next one is Saturn. Saturn will be in your 7th house part of the year, so not all of it, from January until March and from July until the middle of December. Saturn is still in Capricorn in your 7th house. So in your 7th house, you may also need to structure things more. Structure and stability in terms of relationships. Now, some people I have seen who are kind of afraid, and they think that while Saturn is in their 7th house, it's difficult actually to have marriage or to have a relationship. And that, my friends, is just not true. Marriage is actually related to Saturn. Actually, you cannot have marriage without Saturn having certain aspects in your chart, because Saturn is the law. Saturn is the legal form of something, the structure, the materialization. So Saturn in 7th house may not bring you that type of, emotional, romantic, kind of, idealistic love and relationship. It might bring you a very stable, reliable relationship, or If you already have one, then it might be a great time to structure things, to get clear of where is this going, maybe to decide to make things official and so on. So Saturn in 7th house actually structures this area, requires to have more serious attention and attitude towards this area. So it may not support, just flirting and, going around meeting many people, trying different options. Saturn usually does not support that. But if you want to have a stable, reliable relationship, Saturn can help you, especially in combination with Jupiter in your 7th house. Now, on the other side, Saturn will change the position. So part of the year, Saturn will ingress in your 8th house, basically from March until June and after the middle of December 2020. And while Saturn is in your 8th house, it requires a different type of attention, more related to resources, to mutual finances, to your investments. So you have to be very serious. You don't want to be reckless or irresponsible when it comes to taking those decisions. For example, just taking money from someone else so that you can enjoy a nice trip or something like that. Saturn won't help you here. If you need money to invest in your business for something serious, for something that you want to create, actually, something you want to build up, Saturn will help you in this case. So you need to be cautious and careful. Overall, keep in mind that Saturn in 8th house is not always easy. So sometimes you might become more interested in serious topics, exploring something. For some people, this could be a time that they need to work more with their fears, to face them, to release them, because Saturn in 8th house can accentuate this topic. And overall, Saturn, it's about being serious. It's about being responsible. So that's the main thing you need to do. Be responsible when it comes to your relationships, 7th house, and the mutual resources, your 8th house. This is the main task for you guys. Now, another interesting fact, actually one of the most important ones, is that Saturn will join Pluto in your 7th house. It happens only once during 2020, at the very beginning on the 12th of January. So Saturn and Pluto, this is a tough, very strong combination, which requires transformation of structures, rules, routines, and getting rid of things that don't work and preparing to recreate something, to rebuild something. So you shouldn't think that, this is something bad, something you should be afraid of. I really don't like this approach in astrology, because the truth is that even when something is taken away from us, or even something is destroyed, or something does not work, there is always a higher meaning in that. And usually it is that it's just not supposed to last any long, or it is supposed to be transformed or improved. Because let's admit it, very often in life we are kind of afraid to let go of something because we are afraid of the future or of the unknown or whatever. Well, this combination, Saturn and Pluto, it's here to clear up something, to help you let go of something. And if that's the unhealthy relationship that you have stayed in for too long because you are afraid, to make the next step, well, yeah, in this case, Saturn and Pluto may recreate circumstances or events that will kind of push you a little bit in this direction. So the most important question for you guys to think about is what needs to be destroyed and recreated and transformed, specifically in the area of relationships and partnerships during 2020. The other interesting aspect, which again triggers your 7th house, is the conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto. And this one will happen actually 3 times. April, June, November. And basically the same area is triggered. So Jupiter together with Pluto also suggests some kind of transformation, but this is a transformation which allows you to grow, to expand, to achieve something, to be very successful. Jupiter and Pluto creates huge impact and, you know, huge things actually. So whatever you do with another person may have a very, very significant impact, might be remarkable, might be very impressive, or together with your partner, you may really be very successful in something. But again, this is an aspect which suggests some kind of transformation. And because Jupiter is there as well, we are also talking about transformation of your beliefs, specifically in regards to relationships and partnerships. So are there any limiting beliefs or something unhealthy which you use to kind of, you know, suppress yourself or to escape certain risks? Jupiter and Pluto is a combination which can really help you and encourage you to take risks. So what needs to be transformed? What kind of beliefs you need to let go? And eventually what can help you to expand and grow and transform, specifically in regards to relationships and partnerships. These are some of the most important questions, guys. And you can see it goes through the whole year. So almost in the beginning, around April, then the middle of the year, then around the end of the year. So more or less, this topic will reappear through the whole year for you, Cancer. Let's move next. So we also have a conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, which is a big one. So this conjunction, it happens once in 18 years approximately. So obviously quite significant one. And even though Jupiter and Saturn are kind of chasing each other in your 7th house most of the year, the exact conjunction, the time that when they will catch up, will happen at the end of the year, and it will be in your 8th house. It's happening at the very end on the 21st of December. So the whole year is kind of a preparation, and it's getting us closer to that transformative point. And Jupiter and Saturn are the two social planets. So this conjunction puts the beginning of a new cycle for you. From one side in regards to the social area and social achievement, but in your case, it triggers 8th house. And 8th house is related to the resources, to the investments, but also it has another side, like the energy, the exchange of energy. How much do you give? How much do you take? Are you allowing the energy to flow through you? And of course, it also concerns health, our energy. For women, this is a house related to conceiving. So those are some of the topics which can also be triggered. And there might be like a new start in this area, a new beginning there. So prepare, guys. 7th and 8th house are really triggered and activated in your chart by the most important planets, basically. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. So it's gonna be interesting. Next, we are moving to the next significant transition, the North and the South node. So they are also changing signs this year, and it does not happen each year. So we are kind of, you know, experiencing a very intense combination, very interesting times. And part of the year, basically until May, the North node is still in Cancer. So it means that you need to focus more on yourself, more on your own actions, to take risks, to be proactive, to be independent, to rely on yourself, to work on your confidence. Those are very beneficial things for you to focus on. On the other side, you should not count only on other people, or you should try also to find the balance. So The South Node is not necessarily something, you know, that is something bad or something we have to let go of. Yes, we may need to, you know, transform something, but this is also the foundation that we can step on. So it's an important position in regards to your relationships and how you express in front of others, how you communicate to other people. After the 5th of May, there is a change that happens. The North Node will ingress Gemini and activate your 12th house. So you're supposed to move a little bit more to your own private area, your own private space. That would be a great time for taking a rest, great time for recharging your batteries, and also for all kinds of spiritual activities. Working on yourself, healing something from the past, letting go of something, and paying attention more to things that you cannot really see or you cannot measure. So not so much the material side of things as, you know, how you feel and what you experience. The South Node being in your 6th house suggests that you need to let go a little bit of the material side of things, not pay so much attention to the daily responsibilities, and learn to relax. This is one of the most important topics, especially after the 5th of May. Speaking about the nodes, we need to mention also the eclipses, and we have 6 of them through this year. The first one is actually on the 10th of January, and it's a lunar eclipse in your 1st house. So the question is, what needs to be changed or transformed within yourself, and specifically in regards to your actions, your projects, everything that you do independently. Of course, it triggers 7th house as well. So finding the balance between yourself and your important person in your life. That's the main important question. The next eclipses are 3 in a row, actually, during the summer, from the 5th of June until the 5th of July. The first one triggers your 6th house. This is a lunar eclipse. So transformations in regards to work, your daily routines, the practical side of things and how you approach them, and also health. Let's not forget that 6th house is always related to our health. So what kind of changes you can make in those areas. Then there is a solar eclipse, the 21st of June, triggering your 1st house. So obviously a very important one that can put the beginning of something new that you can create or you can focus on, or a way to express yourself. So the focus is on you and your actions. And the last of this group is a lunar eclipse again on the 5th of July, triggering 7th house. So changes and transformations in relationships and partnerships, business and personal at the same time. And the last group of eclipses is at the end of the year. The 30th of November, another lunar eclipse, this time in your 12th house. So now the focus is more on the emotional side of things, on your personal experiences, on your personal motivation, or working with the past, letting go of the past, transforming something on the inside, some spiritual work, and so on. The next one would be a solar eclipse on the 14th, the last one for this year, and it will trigger your 6th house. So it might be related to changes and transformations in the area of work environment, business, health, daily routines, how you spend your time, how you organize your life overall. So something could be started or something could be changed or shifted. That's the main area. Okay, so as you can see, we have 6 eclipses, which is also not happening each year. And that's another reason why I expect the year to be very, very transformative. Next, we are moving to the other significant event, Venus being retrograde from the 12th of May until the 24th of June. Venus is retrograde in Gemini between the 22nd and the 5th degree. And for you, Cancer, it triggers your 12th house. So this may not manifest so much on a material level. This may trigger more the emotional side of you. This might be a time to reconnect to your past experiences, past emotions, past relationships. And overall, this is a more introverted period. So don't be afraid to dive deeper, to recognize those emotions, and to release the needed ones, or to transform, or to heal. In regards to relationships, some secrets might appear. You might become aware of an information that you didn't know about before. And overall, this is kind of a more introspective period. So as usual, we know that Venus retrograde is not the best time for new relationships, new partnerships. So reflect on things, let go, go with the flow. That's the most important for you. And again, I repeat, for you, with this 12th house activated, you may not actually see something significant on the outer level, in the material world. It's more important how you feel inside. Now, the next transit is Mercury retrograde. From the 9th of September until the 12th of November, Mars, we are still on Mars. Mars is retrograde between the 28th and the 15th degree in Aries, triggering your 10th house. And honestly, for you guys, this would be the more significant transit. So Venus in 12th house, it doesn't really trigger something related to your sign. There is no major aspect. So it may come and go without something serious. But this one, the Mars transit, is probably gonna kind of, present itself more impressively in a way, especially if your sun or ascendant sign is between those degrees, the 15-28 degree, of course, in Cancer. It means that Mars will square your sun or ascendant, so it's more impressive. You kind of feel it. And on the other side, 10th house, it's also the most visible place in the chart. So something visible might happen, something that will be remarkable. Overall, you need to be extra cautious with business and work. So do not start new businesses. Do not apply for promotions or even sign some important contracts in regards to business. So this is a time to slow down a little bit, to reflect on the past. On the other side, you might restart old projects, something that you wanted to do in your business. You might have started even planning or executing. For certain reason, you leave it in the past. Well, now you might restart it. Now you might reconnect to those projects or ideas. But overall, this might be a time when you can experience some kind of stress, and you need to, to relax, not to rush things, not to hurry, not to be too impulsive. And as usual, this will go as well. Next, we are moving to Mercury retrograde. I think that's the most famous topic in astrology. And as usual, we have a couple of those cycles, actually 3, during 2020. The first one, February, March, triggers your 9th and 8th house. So you need to be more careful when it comes to your goals, plans, especially for trips or for traveling or for education. And also when it comes to mutual finances and resources. The next one is June, July. It will be in your first house in Cancer. So of course, this would be the most important one. And it's time to look more at yourself and maybe to change something about your own plans, to avoid starting really important things on your own during this time, and just to reconsider some of your plans and ideas. And the last Mercury retrograde cycle is October, November in your 5th and 4th house. So you need to be more careful with all kinds of personal stuff like romantic things, like your kids or creativity and hobbies, and also family, home, and properties. That's it. As usual, we know that Mercury retrograde cycles are also not beneficial for starting brand new things, no matter what they concern. So try to avoid, signing important contracts or even the really important negotiations or significant purchases. Usually they're not that successful. And now we are moving to the outer planets, the last topic we have to discuss. Uranus in Taurus in your 11th house. This is actually a positive, harmonious aspect because Uranus in Taurus is actually having a sextile with Cancer. So we do not expect some drastic, shocking, or stressful influences from Uranus. On the other side, you might experience some kind of changes in your social circle. You might be inspired to connect to other people or to make certain changes in your ideals or the people you communicate with. So overall, that's harmonious, but honestly, it's not life-changing. The more significant impact will be if the cusp of your 11th house is somewhere between those degrees. So in that case, you might feel this type of, this type of shift actually. The next one is the transit of Neptune, and this one is also supportive. Neptune is in your 9th house between the 16th and the 21st degree. So if your sun or ascendant is somewhere here in those degrees, Neptune is actually having a trine, and that's the most important, the most positive aspect. So you can get more inspired, you can be more interested in exploring something spiritual, if generally that's something you're predisposed to, of course. Also, this is a great time to become more creative and overall to pay attention to your feelings. Sensitivity can be increased, intuition can be increased. So harmonious position of Neptune for you, Cancer. The last one is kind of the biggest player we have in our game. That's Pluto, which is in Capricorn, of course, during the whole year. And it will cross between the 22nd and the 25th degree. It's in your 7th house, so it would be important if the cusp of your house is somewhere between those degrees, the 22nd and the 25th. So in that case, it could be very significant. Basically, it means that Jupiter and Saturn will be joining Pluto somewhere around the cusp of your 7th house. So that's a big one. And that suggests some kind of transformations, some kind of, intense changes, especially if Pluto is making opposition with your sun. So if your sun is in Cancer, you might also experience some kind of power struggles with authority figures or with people who are more powerful overall. So it may not be an easy one, but it pushes you again to transform yourself, to change things, to leave something, to let go of something. So that could be a really big one. So we were able to cover actually the most important events during 2020. If you would like to have this presentation, it's available. I can send it to you. Just write your email in the comments and you will get it. Thank you so much for watching this video, for preparing for 2020. Don't forget, if you want to get your copy of the 2020 astrology calendar, the link is below. And also, let us know in the comments what are you most excited for during 2020? Is there something that you are kind of anticipating, or something else which you might be anxious or worried? Let us know and let's connect together. Thank you so much again. It was a pleasure as always. I'm wishing you an amazing 2020, and we'll catch up next time.